Our society has countless images, ideas, and stereotypes about change agents. People who help an organization transform by improving business process and interpersonal interactions. Whether influencing fashion, business, art, entertainment, science, politics, or law, these change agents have and continue to positively impact today's society on so many levels. And today, we are proud to share the story of these business owners, coaches, innovators, and thought leaders from various industries who are eager to educate, inspire, and motivate you. This is Our Voices on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Our Voices, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the owner and co-founder of Dressing Room 8, co-host of Woke and Free, and the lifestyle editor of Plus Model Magazine. And this show is focused on highlighting the amazing work of powerful change agents who have a great message to share with the world. And today, I'm super excited to speaking with Jacqueline Twillie. She's the founder and president of ZeroGap. So let's learn a little bit more about Jacqueline. So she holds an MBA in leadership, and her company, ZeroGap, is a leading training and development firm with specialties in women's leadership programming. She's also the Amazon bestselling author of Navigating the Career Jungle. Her mission is to eliminate the gender wage gap by focusing on ways to increase women in leadership roles in male-dominated industries. And she also happens to be a graduate of Southeastern Louisiana University and holds her MBA in leadership from Tiffin University. And her leadership advice has been featured in Forbes, Fast Co., Essence Now, Black Enterprise, Parade, Today.com, and so many more media outlets. And so without further ado, I'd love to welcome Jacqueline. How are you?
I am great, Natasha. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yes. So I'd like to jump right into questions and really just trying to understand, how did you become the entrepreneur you are? What was the founding story of ZeroGap?
So the foundation of ZeroGap really came out of my passion to help women to become more assertive when they accept a job offer. That was in part due to the gender wage gap. When I found out about the wage gap, it was about early 2000s, and I said, oh, that's not real. We're so much past that. And then I realized, lo and behold, I had been underpaid compared to a male colleague who had the same position but less experience. That was an eye-opener.
Wow.
So fast forward, as I was doing this work, I began to understand how complex the gender wage gap is. There isn't one cause, which means there isn't one way to solve the problem. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what can I do to impact the wage gap? And that's one, teaching women how to negotiate. And then the second part of that was helping women to get to leadership roles, but not just get there. They need to stay in the leadership roles because we know that the people at tops of organizations get paid the most. Mm-hmm. And so that's the foundation of where ZeroGap came from.
I love that. And when it came to formulating your company, did you have mentors? Like, what were key resources that you used to get started?
So this isn't my first company. My very, very first company, we're going to go back to my childhood. My mom owns a hair salon.
Oh, nice.
And she allowed me to take money that I had saved up from birthdays and things like that and buy snacks. And I would sell them in her hair salon. So I had to learn very early on, I could not eat my product and I couldn't spend the revenue that was coming in because I needed to replenish my stock. That was the first business. But when I graduated from Tiffin with the MBA, I went to Louisiana for a few weeks, which is where I'm from. And during that time, I went to the Secretary of State's office. This is back in the day before you could get file for an LLC online. So I had to literally go into the office, file my paperwork, pull the number, wait for them to send me the certificate in the mail. And that first business was marketing. And my bachelor's degree is in marketing, and I had been doing quite a bit of consulting, so I made it real. So in terms of ZeroGap, the foundation of getting this, from my previous businesses, I knew a little, but I got plugged into a very supportive network. I've always had great mentors. And so I did have mentors who helped me flesh out my idea once I got the ball rolling.
I love it. Okay. And you particularly love to also reach out and work with millennials, right?
Yeah, so as a millennial myself, it was natural for me as I first started to work with my peers.
Mm-hmm.
And, my first book, it was all about young professionals. I myself was a young professional. And so during that time, millennials wasn't as hot of a term as it did become after that.
Mm-hmm.
But so it could have been called Navigating the Career Jungle for Millennials. But yeah, young professionals and millennials, I do have a passion for.
Okay. And what would you say are the biggest career challenges that millennials, like myself as well in the category, are facing?
To be honest with you, I feel like one of the biggest challenges that millennials face is dealing with the stereotype. And so as a result of me studying workplaces for such a long time, I always keep in the back of my mind that every generation is labeled, the newest generation in the workplace is considered the entitled generation, the me generation.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the same decade after decade after decade. And for some reason, it's really latched on to millennials. So I think in part it's fighting that stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest things about this, millennials are entitled, they're lazy, they're job hoppers, blah, 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 all those things. When I talk to people one-on-one and I ask them to share their experience with a millennial, they say, well, I know the exception to that rule. Mm-hmm. And it blows my mind that everyone knows all of these exceptions to the rule, but you don't know that stereotypical millennial. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think a challenge for millennials in their career is not living up to other people's expectations of what success looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for us to say, define success for yourself, but as a generation that's been brought up with trophies, millennials have become to associate next level with a ceremony or a trophy. And of course, in real life, you can be slaying at work and there's no trophy at the end. It's just your regular paycheck.
Indeed. I guess that mental trophy or that bonus, right? Yeah.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So just to get everyone up to board on the same speed, can you just recap kind of what at ZeroGap do you do? Like, is it mostly coaching? Is it mostly webinars, workshops? What are the specific services?
Yeah. So at ZeroGap, we focus on immersive learning experiences for women who work in the male-dominated workplace. Mm-hmm. What that means is we facilitate weekend retreats for women in leadership roles. We conduct trainings on-site as well as off-site. Mm-hmm. And, of course, webinars is in the mix, a part of that immersive and interactive experience. And then there's executive coaching. So we focus on the different areas of the woman in the workplace to help them succeed. The great thing, we're talking about millennials, that millennials are the largest segment of the workplace currently. And so our next generation of leaders in corporate and private sector, they're going to be millennials. And we see a pipeline issue with women as well. So what we do at ZeroGap is we prepare the future leaders, these millennial women, to go to the next level in their career, but not just to reach the next level, to thrive and stay in those positions.
Mm-hmm. Love it. You are listening to Our Voices on the Voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Natasha Nurse, and my guest today is Jacqueline Twillie, founder and president of ZeroGap. So when it comes to, you mentioned it earlier and I totally agree with you, that sentiment of, well, it's up to you to define what success is. For the clients that you're working with, for the advice and content that you put out, how would you say is a kind of a healthy formula for determining success in your career? Because I don't necessarily know if it's intuitive for most.
Yeah. So with that, just like it's not intuitive, I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all formula to define what success is. Mm-hmm. And with that, this isn't something that you can wake up today and say, okay, this is what success means, and that's my end-all, be-all definition of success. Success evolves Once you reach one level, and anyone who's accomplished anything, once you reach that level, now you're looking to your next thing. You have a new definition of success. And so for millennials in the workplace who are growing in their careers, think about where you want to be right now, not just at work, but in your personal life, in your community. What type of person do you want to become? And really looking at it from a holistic 360 approach. How can I be my best self every day? So, Natasha, I talk a lot about emulating excellence without excuses. And at the core, what that means is you're not striving to be perfect, but you are striving to give 110% each day. And truly, individually, we only know if we're giving 110%. And if we give success a definition, I think that's what it should be. Doing the best and 110% of your best at everything you do.
That makes sense. Yeah. For me, I would say my formula comes down to like what I say as the holy trinity of life, which is, am I feeding my mind, my body, and my soul every day, right? In some way or form. So for your mind, it could be your career. It could be a side project. It could be a side hustle. It could be your community. But like, how are you learning and growing and winning? When it comes to the soul, right? Like, who are you? Beyond your accomplishments and wealth and achievements, what is your deeper purpose? And are you living up to that? And then definitely the body in caring for ourselves. I think more now than ever, it's apparent that we have to care for our bodies. And that means moving it and feeding it well and really living a life holistically, kind of like what you're saying. But it's interesting. Yeah, success, I would agree, is a bit of a journey as opposed to a destination. So good.
Yeah,
answer.
and so right, it's the journey. And on the heels of that, we think of success as only a win. But in reality, when we sit down and we talk to each other and we talk about the times that we've learned the most or we've gotten the most fulfillment, it was on the heels of a challenge.
Oh, absolutely.
Or what looks like a defeat. So we have to remember that in our definition or our equation of success, it doesn't always feel good. It's not always the highlight. When you said it's a journey, it is definitely going through the ups and downs, but having an attitude at the end of the day that says, okay, I'm rolling with it and I can overcome this.
Absolutely. I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook, but I saw a phrase that said like gratitude changes attitude. And I completely agree. It's the moments of uncomfortability and pain, sometimes even suffering, that brings kind of what makes the essence of you so amazing as a person, and you strive and you push through, right? And I think that's a moment of success as well. It's not a comfy moment, but it's definitely a lesson that is needed. So I couldn't agree more. Now with we're definitely on a high vibe, but I do want to mention some, or at least discuss, what are some mistakes that you have seen with millennials or even just people in the workforce that you feel like, ooh, like let's try to avoid these XYZ items so that we can actually level up in our career?
So I'm going to throw back to Navigating the Career Jungle book and pull out a couple.
Okay.
One big mistake that people make is going into a work project or a new role with unrealistic expectations. Expectations that are mismatched often lead to a lot of confusion and frustration. And so going in, asking the proper questions and listening, getting a really good understanding up front can eliminate lots of headache in the workplace. And so practically what that means is if you're going into a new role at a new company and your first 90 days, ears should be on the ground. Take as many notes as you can, go to as many coffees and lunches, and don't talk about yourself or what you aspire to do or what you've done in the past. Find out about the people who work there, really understand the culture, understand how politics is played at the company. It's not a bad thing. It's only bad when you don't know what's going on and you get played. So those are the things that I say one of the biggest mistakes is those mismatched expectations. The other part going in, and I'm going to get very practical here, a thing that I see a lot of millennials make a mistake on